This just in, the crime wave gripping our community has the city in a panic. Arch-villain Willie Vile says he's not done yet. Vile says his next target is Bikini Woman and her youthful sidekick, Teeny.
You hear that, Jessica? It sounds like we're needed. That well-planned shopping spree will just have to wait. Quick, Chrissy, to the bikini shop.
By day, Jessica Hardbody is a nuclear engineer who has created a bikini so tight it defies the laws of physics. Chrissy Del Wiggle is a teenage rock star who says, so what? She's worn a bikini that way for years. Together they are Bikini Woman and her youthful sidekick, Teeny.
All right, well, let's introduce our guest today. Mr. Andy Rodriguez here from New Phoenix Filmworks, who's responsible for characters like RetroGirl, Blacktail, and Powercat, Action Girl, and Darkfury, and Mega Girl. It goes on, the list goes on and on and on.
The list goes on and on.
Yes, it does. So, this is kind of like a good opener. Could you give us a brief description of these characters and how they came to be, inspiration for these characters, etc.?
Et cetera, et cetera. Well, I guess I'd have to start with the first one, the Darkfury character. I had, my gosh, a long time ago. This is this might surprise you, but this is going back into the 1990s. 1991, I was watching a movie of the week, and I thought, my God, I could do better than this. And then I thought, well, why not give it a shot? I was working with an NBC affiliate here in Phoenix, and had experience with, obviously directing and producing, and thought I'd give it a shot. Wrote a 22-minute demo called Dark Angel, shot it, and, from that, I was trying to do a full-length feature film. And so on the 22-minute demo, I actually raised like $58,000 to get going on the feature film. Later, 1992, I went over to the Fox Network in Los Angeles, and I tried to pitch it to them there. And it didn't quite take with them. It was not what they were looking for in 1992, although years later...
Yeah, James Cameron stole your idea,
exactly, damn it. Yeah, exactly. When that debuted, I'll never forget, I must have had 25 phone calls with people going, my God, Andy, that's your idea. I go, well, oh, well.
I hate when that happens.
But, yeah, it happens. But anyway, so went with the title Darkfury because I thought that the name Dark Angel was a little lame, and that was what my thinking in 1993.
Right.
1994, wrote the script, shot it, 6 months, et cetera, et cetera. Did it as a serious drama, a psychological drama where a young girl, Alexis, witnesses the murder of her elder sister, Candace, by a stalker who turns out to be a gymnastics coach of the sister, Candace. Years later, Alexis sins into madness, taking on the persona of the dead sister. So there's basically two minds fighting in one body with that film. And we've since revived the Darkfury story with 2 new episodes that have happened this year. We've shot and released Darkfury 2, which is kind of tries to close the gap as to what's happened in all these years with her being in an insane asylum. And we just completed shooting the third Darkfury, Darkfury Undying Devotion, which will be available to NPF fans worldwide. We're hoping within the next 2 weeks. Computer's down, but we're working on that. So Darkfury is we've kind of come full circle. That was our first
your staple character.
Yeah, and then and it's also now the character we're spending a lot of time with. 1999, I came up with a character called RetroGirl. I wanted to do something a little different because the year before I was getting emails from people around the world saying, "Are you ever going to do anything else along these lines?" I didn't intend Darkfury, the original Darkfury, to be like a superheroine type character, but the lead character does wear a superhero type costume, and therefore a lot of fans kind of took it that way. Right. So that kind of launched me in this direction. So wanted to do something different. Everyone's interested in time travel, but I thought of time manipulation instead, and came up with the RetroGirl character in 1999. We shot a short pilot of it in 2000, and then did episode 1. I think it was 2001 when we did that one, and so on. So since that time, the other characters have kind of just sprung from my my little imagination here. Well, each of them having a different sort of ability, where I've tried very hard not to do what DC and Marvel have done.
It's hard to do like a new thing, that hasn't been done before, or
Yeah, very hard. Yeah, tried to make them as unique as possible, et cetera, But it's sometimes there's overlap and sometimes there's not.
Yeah, there's always that one fanboy going, "Hey, wait a minute, you're ripping off so and so," and
yeah, it's kind of funny because you see that. I mean, I've if you watch a couple of TV shows on the air on the major networks, which I'm going to keep nameless at this point in time, I'm watching one series. And I'm thinking, my God, they're using all the abilities of the X-Men. And I'm like, what? What? We're not going to talk about who it is.
Heroes? No.
It's going to be them. I didn't say it, but you just kind of look at it and go, how in the world can they do that? But I guess they do.
Yeah. Well, they just kind of reinvented the whole concept into a different medium, which every comic book person knows it's freaking X-Men, and they're ripping off the comic characters. They're just putting it in a different context.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It was funny going. One last thing about the Darkfury character back in '93, '94. I wrote it with the idea of it being, what if this was a person who really existed in the world, not a person who had super duper powers who could do whatever, but actually, just something. Well, at that time, I thought it was kind of different, and of course now we're seeing that with series. So that's kind of cool.
Just to comment on Darkfury a bit. Would you consider that character schizophrenic, or no?
I kind of did originally as schizophrenic, but now in the new episodes that are happening this year, we actually see the manifestation of the Candace apparition. Undying Devotion, the title itself, literally means that she literally appears. Now, at first, it seems that it's coming from Alexis's imagination, but we see physical evidence. She's really there.
Get rid of the old schizophrenic diagnosis.
Right, yeah, so that takes that away, and all of a sudden we see something, what I hope is a little stranger and hopefully a little bit more interesting.
I don't know if you guys know or not, but there actually is a schizophrenic superhero. I don't know if you know who it is. It's a Marvel character.
Oh, and that person is?
That would be Moon Knight.
No, can't say I'm familiar. As a matter of fact, what I've tried very hard to do. I mean, I'm kind of old school. I mean, I'm more used to the big ones, and not so much those on the periphery, and a little bit later, especially those who were created in like the 90s. I mean, I've really kind of tried not to be too influenced. In fact, going back to talking about the Heroes thing, I mean, I didn't start watching that until this year, and I guess they've been on the air, 2 years or 3?
It's the third season.
Yeah, it's the third season right now.
I mean, I literally just started season 1 about 2 months ago.
Right.
And
the first season's the best so far.
I don't know what the hell happened to this season.
Season 2 was sort of like, what are they doing? And then now it's kind of, they're kind of redeeming themselves, but not really.
It's all over the place.
Great.
Yeah, it's all right now. Smallville's better. Stick to Smallville, that's all I do.
Yeah.
Even though Lana has superpowers now, which I don't understand. It's kind of lame.
And there again, I have my tech guy, David. He's a big Smallville fan. I've yet to see an episode.
Good stuff.
So I know I'm living under a rock here.
It's a touch and go show.
I don't know if it's on Hulu or not, but you can go to Hulu and maybe look it up. They have everything on that.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
So, being that your character is primarily kind of superhero-esque, I would say.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite comics that you follow? Do you read comics anymore, or are you just kind of influenced by them in the past?
It's I've looked at a few. I actually did read obviously the Dark Knight graphic novel.
Frank Miller,
right? Frank Miller, exactly. And then of course looking at the stuff from the more 1970s, more early 1980s when I was coming of age.
Yeah,
exactly. So I was, so I'm kind of rooted a little bit more there. I have looked at some of the stuff that's out there of late, and I know this is a gross generalization, but it just seems at least to me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I some of the stories that I had seen, I thought were just just extremely dark. I mean, the work that I do, I think is a little dark too. Right. But it's I've always kind of liked the idea of either hope, redemption, or something. And a couple of them I read was like, oh my God, this is really dark.
Yeah, things are like Chris always talks about that, right? Chris, everything has to be dark now when it comes out.
It doesn't have to be. It seems to be.
The trailer,
Right. And
everything's coming to an end. The world is in peril. There's doom and gloom.
Right. And, you think of like the Chronicles of Riddick, for example, which, by the way, they had Darkfury also, interestingly enough.
I saw that. I remember seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
I was like, sequel there.
There you go. But anyways, the idea of fighting evil with a different kind of evil, I thought was obviously an interesting thing. But even still, it's like even that we try to create as evil. I mean, has redeeming values, right? Or somewhere, because obviously you have to root for the hero. The villain, because the villain is just going to make the story that much better, and makes the hero that much better. The hero is only as good as the villain.
Yeah, exactly. My say has been for the longest time, like, you're not going to have a good story unless the villain is the best thing about the story.
Exactly, and I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it fuels the story. Why is the hero on such a drive to, defeat this villain? Why is the world threatened by this person or community or whatever, it might be? So it's kind of like the whole Superman thing. He's this guy who's basically a god on Earth, Superman.
Right, exactly.
But you have to have this one person that's just like a total bastard. It's just hell-bent on the end of civilization, taking over, being the richest man in the world. That's a formidable foe for him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because that's a man who's earthly, a human being who kind of wants to be a god. Mm-hmm. So he'll do whatever it takes to, attain that status.
Right.
So that's why, Lex Luthor is such a good character for him. And then you go with the whole Joker Batman thing. He'll flip it around. Actually, that kind of reminds me of a question I wanted to ask you. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but with your films, there's no male superhero, no male superheroes at all.
Well, when I first started, way back in the day, the one thing when I was doing my initial research, and this is going to sound just completely nuts, but I actually spoke to something like in the neighborhood of like 80 or 90 video store owners back in the day. This is in the days when there were individual mom and pop, there. And I literally asked them what works, what is it that doesn't work? And the best bit of advice that I got from actually quite a few of them was that they all suggested I go with a female. Now, again, this was back in the day when there were not a lot of female leads other than the Ripley character from the Alien series, and the actress Cynthia Rothrock had done some stuff, and I think that was really about it. There were no serious ones, and the advice I received was that if you go with a male character, they were saying that you're at least subconsciously inviting comparisons to, Arnold and to Sly and to Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they felt that if I went with a female for two reasons: one, it was male dominated, so if you go with a female, it's going to help you a little bit better, and two, even if it's lower budget, which I was and still am doing, they said that they felt that the audience would be a little bit more forgiving of that.
Yeah, I would actually say it would actually be good words of wisdom there, because you have the whole people that are into superheroes, and then people that are into good-looking broads and skimpy outfits.
Mm-hmm. Which doesn't hurt sales.
It does not hurt things at all. So even if you're not really like a superhero or a comic guy, they'll come across the new Phoenix, Filmworks website and be like, oh, let's check out what this guy's got. Or, whoa, right away hit with some good-looking dames. So.
Well, and we try to do that, and the thing that we've found over the years. I mean, currently we have something like 6,000 people in our paying database. We average the average has gone down. I have to admit, we're down to about 32,000 hits a month. And
it went down from how much?
Down from, I think the high was like 42. We're down to about 32,000 a month.
Right.
And over at YouTube, we have, we kind of put some of our trailers and teasers over there just to go to a different audience. And we've received, as of this morning, I believe we're at 925,000 hits since
cool.
January 1st of last year, not this year, but of last year, so over 15 months, or 14 months. But, so people know that we're out there, and like I said, we have our, our sales are in like 45 countries, and so thus far we've had, we've had some success. It's an interesting existence, let me tell you.
And that's your living too, right, Andy? This is what you do.
I used to work with the NBC affiliate here in town, and I also done some work with the Univision affiliate here as well, and it got to the point where I had to just leave the job.
Yeah.
Because it was tough keeping up with everything. It still is, but the irony is that I'm working, doing something that's creative, that springs from my imagination, working maybe half as hard as I ever did at the NBC affiliate here in Phoenix, and making maybe 3 or 3.5 times more than I ever did there. So
God bless you, man. I wish I could do that.
Yeah, that's what astounded me. I don't know if you remember, I shot you a bunch of questions, a few years ago via email. For another defunct site that went away, and I'm like asking you a question about, well, what else do you do? No, this is my living. This is what I do. That just astounded me. That so many people from around the world are actually coming to your site and just...
Yeah, it really kind of blows me away. And to be entirely honest, it's pretty amazing. I mean, a lot of people, really seem to appreciate that. Not only are there really hot-looking, sexy women in these skimpy, superheroine costumes, but my God, there's actually plots involved.
Exactly.
With Stinger, and
there's not like the whole my air conditioner is broken, come and fix it.
I'm a big believer in structure and a hero's journey and sort of thing. Joseph Campbell, Sid Field, Christopher Vogler, people like that who have definitely instructed me on how you build a good plot, and then doing the emotional superstructure on top of that, where people hopefully will care about your characters and stuff. Interestingly, just to make a small segue, if I might, the one project that we were working on in 2007, the Paul Aparo Midnight, the Darkest Hour film, that was a very big film that we. I'd written a very ambitious script for, and of course there was an emotional superstructure on that. The villain, Corleone, that Paula was to take on. It was not what I tried very hard not to make him a typical villain where he's just a bad guy. I mean, it was revealed, and at the very end, the whole, not to go into the plot too much right at this moment, but. It was like, okay, why are there all these explosions in big city, and what's happening, and why is Corleone apparently moving in this area? And he's from, going to his history a little bit, where there's a lot of neglect in the area, and to make a long story short, he reveals to one of his lieutenants at the very end why we're doing this. We're building a hospital because people like us don't get loans.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's actually trying to do something good for his
neighborhood. He's a Robin Hood kind of a guy.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a bad guy. There's no question of that.
Right.
But what his intentions are, most people consider good.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the things that people who had read the script thought, wow, this is really, really cool. Going back to structure and stuff, that and other films and all the shorts that we're doing now are all carefully constructed that way, and hopefully people respond to them.
So how would you find your fan base as far as like responses and support and all that stuff? Would you say it's kind of like consistent in some way, or
it's very consistent? It's amazingly consistent. I've had people who purchased the first RetroGirl 1 back in 2001 who are still with us. Yeah. I mean, 20 productions later, they're still with us.
Wow.
There's quite a few of them. In fact, we have what we call our New Phoenix Filmworks 500 or the NPF 500. These are the 500 people that we've identified who have purchased at least 7 of our product in the past. And so they get the first shot at anything that comes out, and we try to get them reduce rates and that sort of thing, and a little bit more stuff for them that we don't give to the general populace. But there are more people knocking on the door wanting to be a part of the NPF 750 at some point.
The VIP.
Get me in? Can you get me in? Come on, man.
Exactly.
I want to be among the elite.
Exactly.
How do you get all your actresses? I know you mentioned before, too, if you could pull out maybe a story, you got some prima donnas on the way, too. But how do you get all your actresses, and what are some of the, a couple horror stories or a good horror story you can tell?
Well, I'll tell you what, I do have a good one. In fact, I've, sometime later this year, we're actually going to shoot it. I've written Night of the Zonies, which is basically kind of a semi-autobiographical piece on what it takes to do a film in Arizona.
Oh, cool.
And it's talk about a dark comedy, but basically these zombies that are trying out for different positions with us, and they want to be, paid extremely well, and they want to eat our brains. And we have this one, this small film group that's opens, or actually the second scene is producer, assistant producer, production assistant, and shooter that are running with a tripod, a camera, lights, C4, a detonator, and and all kinds of other equipment. And they're running from these zonies who are stalking them with sides in one hand, and trying to eat their brains. But it's completely insane, and I am going to absolutely shoot that. But back to the original.
I would definitely watch it. I would pay for that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's completely out of control. Let me tell you, kind of like what we do. But
I love my zombies. So
exactly. We found a lot of the talent. Originally, I was going through agencies and such here in Phoenix, and you might have heard Phoenix is a little conservative, and so. Sometimes it didn't quite work out so well. Where it's a little different in trying to cast in Phoenix as opposed to Los Angeles. But we decided that the best thing to do is to go word of mouth, and luckily we have enough good-looking female talent who have other good-looking female talent friends.
There you go, backup material.
And there's only been a couple. Eva Sephora, who by the way is the new Darkfury, she actually. Was not part of the inner circle, and we brought her in. And my God, she's wonderful, and so she's a little different. She's on the cover of our website, which is www.newphoenix.com, by the way. But you can see her and see what she's all about. But any of it. So a lot of it has been word of mouth. We've had a couple of horror stories on the Darkfury.
Everyone has one,
Oh yeah, I've got a few. I just don't want to take up too much time with them.
Go for it.
Let me think. Let me think.
You got the time. We got the time.
I'll try. I'll try this one. Back on RetroGirl episode 3, we had two talent who we were in the middle of shooting it. Then all of a sudden they just kind of didn't show up. And it's like, guys, where are you? And they just decided they wanted to go to the lake.
We're at the lake.
And I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing? But luckily,
with the key grip.
Yeah, and so it's like, all right, bring the understudy, and oh my God, so I had to rewrite on the spot and made it work. Go figure. But
you had understudies?
I actually no.
Oh, okay. I'm ignorant.
A lot of good-looking production assistants.
Right.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, but I'd have to say that the very best horror story would have to be, once again, back with the original Darkfury film where we were... And let me tell you just a little bit about this. I mean, my God, I know this was a long time ago, but it's so funny when you think about it. I had 81 speaking parts on that film. And we shot over 6 months. Had a 14.
What was that again? I'm sorry. Was it 81? What?
81 speaking parts.
81 speaking parts.
Okay.
81. Now the Paul Apparel film had 30, and we averaged about 4 to 5 to 6 a day. I'll never do that again. And we were shooting at one of the high schools here, a library scene, and we had hired this one person who was begging to be the librarian, begging me, had to be this librarian. Okay, so she became the librarian, and so we were getting ready, and we had 14-person first unit, and we had approximately 4 main characters, 5 main characters, and about 20 extras. And an hour goes by, hour and a half goes by. And we're like, okay, where is her name was Tony? And it's like, all right, where is she? So I finally call her. I go, Tony, where the heck are you? She goes, I'm at home. I go, we're shooting right now. What are you doing? And she goes, oh, well, I decided to move today. What are you talking about? We've got everyone here. I mean, I'm losing. I mean, this isn't a lot of money, but it's like $2,000 an hour. And and I said, what in the heck are you doing? And I said, I need you down here. She goes, I just didn't think it was that important.
Yeah, thanks for signing on the dotted line.
Do you know what these people are doing now, though? That one girl?
I
want fries with that?
There's actually been, a few people from the first film who have gone on to some cool stuff. Tara Page, who played young Alexis, was in the movie Stick It with Missy Peregrine, who's on Heroes today. The Stick It was also with, I think, what's his name? The Bridges? Not Bo, but the other one.
Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges' son. My God, what's his name?
Jeff Bridges?
Jeff Bridges, Lloyd Bridges. Jeff Bridges, Missy Peregrine, and Tara played the villainess in that. So that was kind of cool. A couple of others had been on shows back in the '90s, like Walker, Texas Ranger. Gosh, what else? Freaks and Geeks. That was on NBC.
It's a great show.
Yeah, a couple of our one person who had been in the had been part of the DP. Steve Aquilino, he had worked on that. A few other people had done some things along those lines, so it's actually kind of cool. A few of them actually go on, But
that must make you feel good because they started with you guys and got a little feel of the business, and I'm sure that they'll never forget you guys for that.
Yeah, one way or another. I've been called the Roger Corman of Arizona. So I don't know.
That's okay.
That's pretty cool. I figured, I could be in worse company, Roger Corman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How can you not like the Roger Corman, especially after the Fantastic Four movie? That was fantastic.
Yeah, there you go.
That's such a guilty pleasure, but at the same time,
I like it.
It just rules.
It was all right.
It really does.
Yeah.
I think it rules. Look at Dr. Doom. He looks how he is supposed to look.
Exactly.
That's Dr. Doom, not that shit Hollywood did recently. He was wearing like a trench coat. It looked like he was like the metrosexual Dr. Doom. Like, what the fuck was going on with that? Come on. Shoot a lightning bolt out of his fucking hands. Give me a break.
Exactly.
Ah, man, somebody needs a beating.
So that's kind of what's up with us.
Do you have, would you say, any characters that are probably your most popular?
The most popular would be the Action Girl character that
cool.
Jamie Thornton plays, and it's just Jamie's a cute little blonde who just has a twinkle in her eye and has a dynamite figure, and I mean it is amazing. I mean we're playing the next Action Girl coming up here in about 3 or 4 months, and my God, I mean we just get these incredible spikes on the site whenever she's around. And so she's very, very popular, and her character doesn't really have any superpowers to speak of. I mean she's just out there kicking butt and just I guess looking good doing it and getting herself in all kinds of predicaments, and I mean it's just hilarious. I mean you can just see a major spike whenever we announce it. So we try to roll out Jamie and the Action Girl character on special occasions. Like we don't want to overexpose her. Give her about two a year, and that's about it.
Right.
So she's far and away the most popular. I'd have to say that Eva Sephora as the Darkfury character is very, very rapidly becoming the second most popular character we have, and. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, she's this Lithuanian beauty who's almost 6 foot and quite striking, and in all senses of the word, very good with martial arts. And it's just those two are the ones who people really seem to really respond to.
Now, have you thought to bring your concepts into other media? Like, I mean,
actually,
comic books.
I would very, very much like to find the right situation to find a comic book publisher that could take one or two of the characters, preferably the Darkfury character, and I think the Powercat character, the Powercat episode we did last in November. We did a ton of CGI on, very, very comic bookish.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, out of all your productions, that latest Powercat one really lays on the CGI. I know you've experimented with it in the past, but with this film,
is that the one where she flips around the car? That she flips the car in the
right, exactly.
In the air?
Yeah. We'd like to move more in that direction. Interestingly, the fans, I thought they responded well to it, but not as strong as I thought they would. Because I have to say, personally, I thought Powercat 3.5, the Overload episode, the ones that you're talking about, where she's flipping the car and has the electromagnetic control of certain things and so on, and all CGI, or 90% anyways. I thought that it was sexy. I thought it was actually, for a short, it was not a bad story. I thought the CGI was effective.
Yeah, I thought compared to, because I saw your old stuff too, I actually have one downstairs, and I was just kind of amazed how you grew from the original film that I saw from you, and then this. Right,
yeah, because that was, and my CGI guy, Tim Kitchen, we got, give him props on that. He took, the ideas that I had and really brought them to life, and really did a great job, and that's the kind of work that I'd like to start moving into. But again, as I was about to say, the fans, to my surprise, they didn't embrace it as much. In fact, they really liked the Darkfury 2 episode, where I had more than a few fans say they really loved the sets. And I thought, well, that's cool, but I just thought the CGI we did was just amazing. And
look what we did.
They didn't that way.
Dude, he came in, and
I guess stick to practical then, Andy. I guess.
Well, there you go.
It's probably cheaper anyway.
Do you ever get anybody that just kind of says to you, "Oh, you're just doing smut in disguise"? Everybody's, you have these sexy women crawling around and nothing, and they're just in peril, and they're in handcuffs and all that kind of stuff. You ever get any negative feedback about that?
Well, to answer that one, actually, no. In fact, ironically, I actually get the reverse. I get, people ask me, why do I hold back? Yeah, and I'm like, I just don't think it's really necessary.
Where's the BJ scene? Come on.
Exactly. As one of my DPs once put it, he said, "You're pushing for a hard PG rating." That's the way he put it, and I thought that was interesting. But actually, it's quite the reverse. I mean, there's a lot of people who email me and just say that they really appreciate the fact that I'm able to do something that looks sexy without going into anything X-rated, or we don't try to chuck the Wonder Pony or anything like that. So actually, in fact, those are the fan mail that I actually keep. That a lot of people just really seem to appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But the main negative I've ever heard is we don't crank it out fast enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good problem to have.
Somebody's busy.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the newer stuff, I know in the past you kind of kept it, at that PG, maybe PG-13 kind of rating or category. In the newer films, you're introducing kind of like, cuss words and all that kind of stuff. Is that on purpose, or is it
we actually haven't really used a lot of cussing or profanity, and if we actually can't even really think of one where we actually did. And it's funny. I've just never really. I know it sounds kind of really strangely Puritan in some kind of weird way, but it's we've never really, I don't know, I've always kind of believed what my old brother used to say. It's like, you only use those for special occasions,
right.
And,
go back to the compound, Andy.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's you'd have to have a really good reason to do it. It's like for example, when I shopped Darkfury over in LA years ago, here in Phoenix, it was like, oh my God, this is too edgy, it's too sexy. That was the reaction I got in Phoenix, but in LA, it was like, so why are you being Mother Teresa? I literally,
this is the home of porn. We got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah, I actually got a couple of both female and male video acquisitions buyers who said, well, how come she doesn't lose her top? I'm not kidding. They literally, they shuttled through it. They were waiting to see the scene where she loses her top, and I'm like, they're asking, so what's the deal? Why are you holding back? I'm like, well, I just didn't think it was necessary. Of course, I was like completely naive and not looking at it the way they were.
Yeah, I'm sure it's different around the country.
Yeah,
it's different around. Where's the Mormons from? I don't want to get into anyone's religious background.
It's like Midwest, Middle America.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was around. Hey, can you talk about Paul Perrell at all?
Oh, I suppose I can talk a little bit about it.
Okay, because we did interview James Watson. I'm not sure if you you knew or not. And
yeah, I didn't know. I never had the opportunity to actually hear the interview.
Yeah, it wasn't. He didn't. I mean, he was very nice.
Things kind of happen, and there's no. At least I hope there's no bad blood of any sort. The bottom line is that the project did not work.
Right.
For the reasons that they usually say, either creative or business differences. In this case, it was kind of a little both. But no, it's definitely a good property. And I'm sure James will have plenty of success with it, and and I'm certainly hoping that that's the case.
So too.
It's just one of those things that just did not work out, and it's kind of a shame, but that's it took I try to be philosophical about it. It took the form it was supposed to take, and that's what happened.
He did say that there was a opening, like in the James Bond films, where there's an action opening that really doesn't have much to do with the rest of the film. He did say you guys filmed that, and possibly that will be available online if things work out in the future. But actually, that's outdated information. Okay.
It will not be available. We got about 60% of it in the can, actually, of the entire film, which is really a very high percentage. But there was, we were not able to come to an agreement on what was going to happen with that and or scene one, and so we just kind of left it at that.
Maybe when the Paul Perrell Hollywood movie comes out, that will be an Easter egg or something. Who knows?
Well, you just never know. But again, it's a good franchise, and it'll do just fine. The script itself, Midnight's the Darkest Hour, I do own it, and the good news is that I will probably either apply it to one of the other characters that I have and morph it where it'll fit the context of that universe, or who knows? I would really like to talk to the good folks over at DC Comics and see what would it take to get one of their characters and apply it to one of theirs. Of course, and see what that looks like. I mean, I think that would just be fabulous.
You ever thought about being a comic book writer at all?
I just don't know if I'm really. I'm more of a teleplay and screenplay writer. I mean, that's my discipline. I don't think I really have I can't really put my arms around the way that a comic book is written.
It's you got it, buddy. Seriously. Yeah, watching your films, you've got it. You definitely have it.
It's pacing. The pacing's different. It is tough.
Yeah, but talk to Chris about that, because he's a comic book writer and he's trying to branch out into films. Chris, right?
Yeah.
So tell him about some of those.
I know about the film thing, Chris.
Yeah, right. I know I self-publish comics, so it's not like I'm working for DC or Marvel, so it's no big thing. But I understand the pacing difference, because I've written screenplays and I've written comic book scripts.
Right. Yeah, two different disciplines.
Exactly.
And I just don't really have the experience in that area. Although I think if push came to shove, I could give it a shot. But it's like I'm just having a little too much fun doing it this way, and it astounds me that I'm able to. It's the dream of any writer, is to write something that springs from your imagination, and you have a ready-made audience who is willing to pay for it. And a couple of houses and a couple of cars later, I'm still here.
Well, that's a good thing.
God bless you, man. That's so rare these days. I mean, you get these people. We're doing a little comic book. I'm self-publishing it, but I have to work some shitty job I don't like to pay the rent.
Hey, you just explained my life. Thanks, Will.
You prick. No, I don't mean to put you down, dude. It's not a lack of talent. It's how society sees things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Society accepts things a certain way, and it's not to put you down at all, Chris.
Right.
It's
I know.
Movies, comic books, whatever the case may be, if the public chooses to be like, hey, I really like this, it's going to work.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't work. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I mean, it just means maybe more, get yourself out there more, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So, how do you find, the best promotional medium would be? Is the internet, definitely, right?
Yeah, sure would seem to be.
Yeah.
24/7, it's very, very tailored, very, very narrow casting if you want to be. You know, it takes a life of its own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so long since I've been in touch with you, Andy. We've been, corresponding for years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Via email. And I think I was maybe surfing the web one day, and I just came across your films, if I remember right.
Right.
And I sent you an email like, hey, I got this site where, I highlight, superhero-type films, blah, blah, blah. I have the independent section in there, which is called Our Heroes at fanboytheater.com.
Sure.
Where we kind of take independent, filmmakers who are doing superhero stories, and we kind of, we put a spotlight on them and their films, their activities, whatever they're planning in the future. And, I came across your site, and I was like, wow, this guy would be perfect. He's got all the superhero stuff going on, and he actually has stories, which is extremely
imagine that.
He's got stories. That's the thing. You could have eye candy, you could have the best costumes and things blowing up and the greatest special effects in the world, but do you have a story?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, the way our fans, at least, have responded to what we do, interestingly enough, our longer form pieces, the longest ones we did, once again, is the first Darkfury film, an hour and 40 minutes, and then RetroGirl episode 4, the nightmare story where she's trapped in the mind of a person who's in a coma. That was like 65 minutes, and that just sold and sold and sold and sold. We still have sales on it, but I mean, my God, the first year we released that, that paid for a condo.
Wow!
And then Black Talon, Broken Mirror, the second long form. And when I say long form, I mean 60 minutes or above. That is a story that is a little bit more fleshed out what we've done. And now each thing we do does follow structure, but of course there's just more of it. And yeah, that sold like crazy. And even to this day, of the non-recent releases, those two are still selling and very well. And it's go figure. But people do respond. You're right. They maybe that was the case with the Powercat story where we did all the CGI. I really did try to do a story with that, and the CGI I just thought was just very eye-catching and very stunning. And at least all of us here, we thought we took a big leap forward with that one.
Right. But if you remember the last interview I did of you guys, it was the Powercat, the last Powercat, not the latest one, but the one before. Fully Charged.
Powercat 3, the imposter story.
Fully Charged, was that the one?
No, the Fully Charged was number 2. Imposter, Powercat 3 Imposter was the third story.
Okay, I think I did Fully Charged, and I said, this guy's kind of branching out now. Before he was doing this kind of like superheroines who have kind of his Batman abilities. No powers, but they're kicking ass. They have exceptional fighting skills and all that stuff, but they don't have the like the Scarlet Witch kind of deal where they have powers to just move things and lift and shoot things and blah 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 blah.
Right.
But then this Powercat came out. I noticed the whole she's got these powers. And you showed her using the powers, and I said, "Well,
exactly.
He's come a long way."
Yeah,
and I remember saying that.
Yeah, that was the first time we showed the impulse wave, where she's able to send out a shock wave from that, and of course the electrical lightning bolts. But the next long form story is the Black Talon story, when strangers come to town. It's set 15 years in the future. And my gosh, that one, she, to make a long story short, she is enhanced with the same sort of abilities as the RetroGirl character is, where they have the direct synaptic interface that allows them to tap into the power of the sun. So when Black Talon uses her what we call smart talents. Now, before she just had crushing ability, which doesn't sound like much of a superpower, really. Right. But now, because of the CGI, we can show her lifting cars and throwing them at people, or she can grab a building and literally lift it and throw it or move it or something. So just crazy stuff like that. So that's the CGI. We kind of held back on it. It's a long story. It's at least 70 minutes. But honestly, with the response to the first time we used extensive CGI, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't as strong as I thought it was going to be. So I want to make sure that the story is going to keep people there, and the CGI is secondary. And we'll see what happens.
Hollywood should learn that. Damn it.
Exactly. it's funny. I got a real flattering email from a fan from Brazil who had seen the Powercat 2 fully charged that you're talking about, Will, and he had said, in general, it basically was kind of like to everyone on some forum. He says, "Could you imagine what Andy could do if he had $70 million?"
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I said about the fan filmmakers. You know?
That's what we say about a lot of these filmmakers that we talk with, man. It's just these creative people that are limited by their budget, which, you know, they do outstanding stuff with that budget, but what if they were given some quality
Real
stuff
money.
and not some suits?
It's sad because you got these guys that have millions and millions of dollars, and they just
But the problem is
fuck things up.
the suits are behind them. It's just not them. It's the suits behind them saying, "Hey, you got to do this. You got to do that."
Right.
And, I mean, look at Sam Raimi in Spider-Man 3. He had to
You
shove
got like
Venom
fucking
in there.
Avi Arad. Avi Arad's a major pain in the
exactly.
ass.
Good example.
Oh my God, he deserves, like, seriously. I think we should, like, go to Hollywood and just give him a severe beating. The man needs to get a body cast soon. This is bad news.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's I've seen work of other people out there, and they constrained by budgets, and it's too bad, you know. But
it's sad because you got guys like you who have the hardest, who have the story, the ability to tell a good story, and God bless you, you're doing that on a limited budget. You know, and like Chris said, I mean, imagine if you had millions of dollars, what would you do? You know, like,
well, you just never know. I mean, I've had distributors, you know, in LA talk about picking up something, but you know what? It's like, you know, we'll see. Because let's face it. I mean, you if you're going that route, you're losing a lot of creativity, and you know, and you have to look at it from their point of view. Obviously, I mean, they're putting up a lot of money, and if I were putting up a couple of $1 million, I'd have to know how it's going to work out. And of course, you need to just trust the director and the producer to put it together. But you know, it's a tough thing. There's no question. But what can I say? I'm having a good life. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, there ain't a lot of people in this country that I know of who's actually making a pretty decent living at this, I might add, and you know, actually acquire some badly needed material things.
Living the dream,
and get to do, you know, what they want to do, exactly they want to do it creatively.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm lucky.
And I'm jealous. So there you go.
You got a jealous club forming over here.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
No,
it's
nice
work,
jealousy.
but it's the best kind of work you can do.
Man, it's not a bad thing.
No,
not at all.
Because we're not back, you know, hating you. We're back, you know, rooting for you.
Exactly. Wow, it's a fellow dude, you know. He's making it.
Yeah, been lucky.
Well, I've got two more questions for Andy. I'm not sure how much time he has, and if he wants to cut us off any time. Just stuff I've got written down here. One was, have you ever thought of making a true fan film with a licensed character?
Actually, I have, but go on to the next one.
And are you going to answer that one, or is that your answer?
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and answer that. I would absolutely love to do something with that. In fact, I've had one in the back of my head for a long time, and would really like to do this. But even, you know, it's you know, the DC character Batgirl is quite popular, and you know, I know that the Batman and Robin film that debuted, her with Alicia Silverstone didn't quite sit very well with a lot of fans, and you know, I have boy, I'll tell you, I would love to take a shot at you know, doing, you know, Batgirl Midnight is the Darkest Hour, because boy, I'll tell you, I think that'd be a hell of a story. Yeah. But that one would not be a fan film. That would be for real. I mean, I'd need, you know, several $1 million to do it and do it right, and get the right person to play the lead, et cetera, et cetera. But I would, if I were to do a fan film version of it, I would absolutely make it as kick-ass as I possibly could. And I definitely have some ideas what I'd like to do with that. But again, I'm not sure how the good folks at DC would see that. So that's one thing. The other thing, when I was a kid, my favorites were the Fantastic Four. And the two things that I would do differently than what I've seen, I think the two films that have come out have been, you know, they've out of the scale of 1 to 10 on the Andy scale, I give them both about 6 or 6.5.
We all got our own scales. So you got the Andy scale.
The Andy scale, exactly. We would shoot it in Andy scope. But what I would do differently, there's two things I would do differently. Number one, you know, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, I sure in the heck would make him a lot meaner and a lot tougher. When I say meaner, I mean more assertive, because I know that the way they've done it, he's a little too much wishy-washy.
He's like some like European just dork.
Yeah,
and to hang out with in high school. He'd have his own table.
Right, and you know what? I mean, I see an opening sequence where either you have like the Skrull, the nemesis of the Fantastic Four in the comic books, or someone else where they're in the Baxter Building, and then all of a sudden they realize there's someone in there with them, and then you see it's just him. And then all of a sudden he uses his abilities to the maximum, where he is grabbing people left and right, slamming them against walls, and expanding his body, slamming them to the floor, almost suffocating people. I mean, just turned into some kind of a
He's
feral.
Like a Punisher with elasticity.
Exactly, and just mop the floor with them, where there's no question this is the leader.
He has the ability to do it. That's the thing.
Absolutely, and he's so terribly underutilized. And I'm thinking, that would be my first attempt at having a male superhero kick some ass, because I would love to work with that one. But the other thing would be using the Ben Grimm, the Thing, where he's more of a tragic character than they really are willing to go with. It's
kind of like a Phantom of the Opera kind of a deal.
Almost, all the stuff with the Yancey Street origin.
I'm the Phantom of the Opera from Yancey Street, you bums.
Exactly. Where you have
it
was definitely more of a tragic figure, and I would love to see more of how he's where his old buddies on the Yancey Street are taunting him with the secret truth that no one wants to talk about. He's part of the Fantastic Four, but he's not really.
Yeah.
Right.
If Tim Storms could only have done stuff like that.
Yeah. So those are.
It's weird. I mean, not to sound prejudiced or anything, but you got Sue Storm, who is played by
Jessica Alba.
Yes, and
right.
Beautiful, stunningly beautiful girl.
Absolutely,
woman, I would say. Now,
she's the blue-eyed blonde.
I can go back. Back to '78 with Herbie the fucking robot. In the old cartoons. And you got the Invisible Woman, and she's very white. She's got blue eyes. She's Caucasian. She's got the blonde hair. But you know what it is with Jessica Alba? You did the hair dye thing, and you did the eye color thing, and it worked. It really doesn't matter. You could have made her Hispanic anyway. It wouldn't have mattered to me.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, I don't. The only complaint I have is we don't see enough of her in costume doing her thing.
There you go. I definitely enjoyed more footage of this.
Just to wrap it up, I was just going to ask him what kind of doors has these films opened for him in the past decade plus, and where does he see his career going? Is it going to be more mainstream, or is he kind of happy in the stream that it's going?
The hinterlands. This has opened. The number one thing this has done has been actually two things. The first is freedom. The creative freedom
right.
and creative license to do what you want to do. I know I'm really lucky to be able to do this, and I can't complain. I mean, I know there's a lot of artists out there who would love to have the freedom and the time to do stuff and actually make money doing it.
Chris.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so there's that. It's interesting. I've met some amazing people through the journey. Like Tim Kitchen, who does our CGI now. There's of course, Dawn Vern Piles, who's done my music since '92. But we've met other people, Pedro Celli out of Germany.
That's another thing. You guys utilize your own music.
Oh yeah. We score our own stuff, and yeah, I mean, there's nothing canned about what we do. It's all it's actually tailored to each scene. A lot of people seem to think that the producers out there, I guess there's probably about 110 that are doing kind of like in the same subgenre as I am. I mean, quite a few fans seem to think that we're if not the best out there, we're certainly in the top 2 or 3. But we shoot in high definition. We customize the music to each scene. I mean, we try to make this look like the real deal as much as we can. And it seems to have paid off for us. So those would be the two things. It would be the freedom to do it, and just the people that have crossed my path. I mean, I am so incredibly lucky to have met so many incredibly talented people who get what we do, who understand it, and enjoy the subgenre as much as I do.
And you certainly make it look easy.
Well,
sometimes it's
we've
not.
had some practice.
Yeah,
we're getting better.
Mr. Will, any closing questions, thoughts, concerns?
What's the future of New Phoenix? Do you see new characters? Do you see continuations of stories? Do you see stuff like that?
I think that for New Phoenix Filmworks, the future is probably two-pronged. One is that we continue to do the thing that's gotten us where we are. I mean,
right.
If it's not broke, don't
that's
fix
a
it.
Smart thing.
So that always makes sense. And then the other thing would be to eventually branch out where we actually look at other writers. I'm actually looking at 2 or 3 writers around the country right now who are submitting scripts to us. I'd really like to meet some people who can actually direct and actually produce. I mean, we would certainly fly them out to Phoenix and spend a couple of weeks out here and put together stuff. So there's that. Because we always seem to, we're very lucky in attracting so many talented people to us. I would like to do something longer form and on a limited basis, if possible, to do some sort of limited releases. I mean, there's that was the whole point of doing the Paula Perrell Midnight is the Darkest Hour film. That was definitely going to be a transition film that was going to, still please our fan base, but yet it would have opened us up to a whole other world of possibilities, and I'm going to continue moving in that direction. With that, don't laugh. I've actually written a romantic comedy that every one of my female friends who know of the story, I've pitched it and I've explained it just to get their reaction. And without exaggeration, I'd say of the 7 or so who have heard it, each of them have grabbed me by the lapels by the end of the story with tears in their eyes saying, that's the most romantic story I've ever heard in my life. You've got to do this next.
Do it.
I'm trying. I wish I had the money to do it. Yeah, it would need a couple of days.
Talented man, go with it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So that's it. I mean, you just want to try to expand a little bit and grow as much as we can within reason. Like I said, I'm having a good life. I can't complain.
Can't ask for anything more.
That's the American fanboy dream right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How rude of you to have it.
I'm out of Arizona, goddammit.
I know. Get to work with a bunch of gorgeous women and who adore me and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, I'm just like pinching myself. Okay, am I dreaming? I might be dreaming.
Plug yourself away there, Andy, and we'll wrap it up if that's okay with you.
New stuff, the future stuff, go with it.
New stuff. The next one is going to be Darkfury 3, Undying Devotion. It's going to be a DVD that's an hour and roughly 10 minutes, hour and 20 minutes with everything on board, starring Eva Sephora. After that, we're going to do probably the new Black Mask episode. It'll be what we call a PSM, Perilous Situation of the Month. That should be out in about less than 2 months. Let's see, gosh, and then, of course, we're going to be doing Black Talon, When Strangers Come to Town. Now, that'll be a very long-form film, so we'll see what happens with that, but that'll probably be in the fall. And, of course, like I said, Night of the Zonies. I can't wait to get that one done.
That sounds. I think what that looks like. I want to see that big time.
Yeah, because you guys are going to go, what in the heck has Andy been dealing with? But there you go. I want to see that. You'll see it in Andy-Scope and Technicolor, let me tell you.
Very good, man.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. That's what's coming up next at NPF, New Phoenix Filmworks.
Hey, Andy.
Just for me and Chris, I'm sure, but buy. Go to this man's site, buy the DVDs, buy the downloads, buy. Good stuff.
It's good stuff.
www.newpHX.com.
That is correct.
All right, very cool, sir.
Guys, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
I've talked to you for years, so.
Yeah, it's been, absolutely.
And I'm sure Mr. Mosier, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been great. It's, like I said, Will found me, years ago and was asking, what the heck is going on here? And, it's great to actually finally chat it up with you guys.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night now.
Brother.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.